Hello, everyone, and welcome to Curious Casefiles. I'm Jamie.
I'm Lisa. And Danielle's
And
on
Danielle's on mute.
mute.
Yeah.
We are live and we've already stuffed up.
Yeah.
I'm Danielle.
Yeah, that's Danielle.
Yeah.
Somebody put me on mute. Wasn't me.
That was probably me.
Yeah. So, hello, everyone.
Hello to everybody in the chat. Hello, Wendy. Hello, Abydos, Kelly, Cheryl. Who else have we got? Let me just scroll up. I've seen somebody. Julie.
Yeah.
Hello. We are live. So expect
thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
And what are we talking about this week, Jamie?
We're going to be talking about Ooparts. If you don't know what Ooparts is, they're out-of-place artifacts. They're kind of like relics that's been discovered throughout the years of sort of things what doesn't seem to fit the time period of that time where the discoveries have been found, the area maybe, and things like that. I mean, it covers a wide range. I mean, it can be like actual objects, or it could be paintings, sculptures, and things like that. There's quite a few of them, actually. In fact, there's hundreds.
There's hundreds, so we've picked 6 of them.
Yeah.
And for everybody that isn't Scottish, it was the number 6 and not SEX that I said. 6 of them. Every time I say 6, people think I said something else, but yeah. We're probably going to repeat this later on down the line and do some more because there's so many of them.
There are a long list, very long list.
Yeah.
So, shall we get to it?
Yeah, what are we going to start with?
We'll take a little look at these.
Yeah, I've got some pictures ready.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun. Out of place artifacts, everybody.
Yeah.
And the first one is 3 artifacts, actually, or 3 items that are seen in Sumerian artwork.
3 in 1, you're getting a bonus.
Yeah. That is a handbag, which some people will say is a bucket, but it's a handbag.
A man bag.
A man bag, a pinecone, and a watch.
Yeah. That sounds like a start of a silly joke, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does.
So a handbag, a pinecone, and a watch walk into a bar. This is what happens.
Being carried by a giant with wings. No. Yeah.
You'll see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Apparently, according to Kelly, there's a huge hole in Washington, and it's not her.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, you're
okay.
not a huge hole. No, you're not. You're lovely. Right, so there we go. This is the Sumerian or the Assyrian tree of life, which I don't think is a tree. Just going to put that out there straight away.
No.
Danielle had an interesting theory that she looked up. What was it, Danielle? They said it was.
Well, looking at this, you see the outward limbs with the what looks like maybe leaves or bushiness to them. People think it's this tree of life. But there is a theory that this is actually an orchard of date palms, which were common back in that time. And actually date palms still exist today. But because it's not a 3-dimensional where they're standing upright, they had to lay it down. And so that's spread out. And those wavy lines are like irrigation canals.
Right.
So that's the theory on that. But then you look at the bird or the flying object ahead of it, and I think
It's a
James
UFO.
Yeah.
There's a little man in that bird.
Is
Yeah.
it?
So it makes you wonder which is it. But then you have to add on all the different components that we're going to get to, like the handbag and the pine cones and everything to it. So, which is it? And what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot going on in
There
that
is
picture.
a hell of a lot going on in this picture.
Yeah.
Shall we start with the pine cones?
Sure.
Let's start with pine cones, yeah.
Right, they've got the two blokes. I'm going to call them blokes.
Blokes.
On the outer edges, left and right.
Dave and Steve.
Yeah, Dave over here is holding a pine cone up to Bob's head, at the back of Bob's head.
Yeah.
And on our side, Steve is holding a pine cone up to, I don't know, Nick's head. The back of their head. That's weird.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Yeah. So I've noticed that one of them is had a bit of an accident. He looked like he's got a sling on. So, yeah.
He's broke his arm.
He broke his arm, everybody.
Yeah, Steve's broke his arm.
Yeah, leave it to you to notice that.
Indeed.
But they've all got these little bit.
Yeah.
They've all got these things on their wrist, which, according to academia, the mainstream, these were very common. However, they're only ever depicted on the gods. Anybody else have not got these. It's like a sort of flowery face on them.
Right.
But the gods are the only ones that wear these sort of devices on their wrist. And the fringe theory is that they are some sort of smartwatch communication device. Basically, it's their Apple Watches.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, in my research I'd done a few weeks ago, actually, I was reading. People said no, they're not wristwatches. They're not telecommunication devices. They simply are bracelets representing like for protection and wealth and things like that. Well, I had a look on the interweb, and I did spot some of these sort of bracelets, but they didn't look nothing like them. They had different sort of pictures, logos, depicted different things, and I found not a single one that looked at all like a clock face or a flower, if you want, you know.
As we'll see on one of the later pictures, I've got a few pictures in here. There is like your normal men, that's not gods, have got something that looks like a sort of wrapped jewellery on their wrist. Not these. Right.
Yeah.
These are all the same.
But what I did actually spot as well is the fact that people were saying they were all wearing them, basically. Well, first of all, it seemed like all the gods seemed to be wearing them, or people representing these sort of giants or these people of power. Yet the thing is where are the skeptics always say, where is the evidence?
And my dog's like, I watch.
If these things exist, where's the evidence? There'd be sort of like evidence of this. Well, that's my argument for this. Where, if they say they're just bracelets, where are all the bracelets?
Yeah.
There is bracelets, obviously, from that period, but none of them look quite like this.
Yeah, these are specific. And like some of them, like said, look like flowers or sundials or something like that. And like Lisa said, is it like the first, Apple Watch? But
hello to Jamie's dad in the chat, by the way. Hello, Bob.
And these gods or these higher ups, also known as sages, I think they called them too, were supposed to be like the wise ones, so they would equate to the gods of the times.
Yeah, so we've got some other pictures to go through. The next one, it just basically is the same sort of thing, the tree of life. Just zooming in on the first two at the front, you can kind of see the pine cones at the back of the red there. Because this one on the left seems to be like sort of plugging something into this tree. I don't know what he's doing.
Maybe it's like a Tesla coil.
It's very similar to the thing that the bloke on the right's got, some sort of wand or something.
Right. Yeah. And
he's poking it into the tree of life that's not a tree. Don't look like
there are different images of this too, where you don't see what the flowery or the bushy items at the end, where you actually do. It does appear more coiled. So is it a mechanical image as well, or device? But they're also with the pine cones. Getting back to like the date palms, they say that even today they had to be hand pollinated. That you had to take these pine cones, what have you, and actually shake them and sprinkle them over the date palms to pollinate them. Yeah. But if that's the case, why aren't they doing it over the date palms? They're doing it behind the person's
head.
Well, what I noticed as well, somebody said that they a bit like you said, they were sprinkling the pine cones over the tree of life, and I'm like, well, they've got to have the tree of life first. What is that?
Yeah. Kelly thinks he was trying to do something else with the pine cone, and I don't even want to think what.
I'm sure it's quite possible.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
on this one, this is a slightly different picture. You can see this is one of the gods here. This is one of the Anunnaki, which is also called the Shining Ones or the Watchers. Mm-hmm. He's got the little wristwatch. He's got one on each wrist. And the other one on our side isn't one of the gods. And as you can see here, he's got some sort of wrapped jewellery on both his wrists. It's completely different.
Right.
And this is more what's shown on your normal human figures. Your gods have all got these sort of flowery faced things on the wrist. Now, why has he got two smartwatches on?
Maybe he's got a spare backup because he don't want to be lugging around a pack of batteries with him or something. I don't know.
He's very muscly as well.
They are all very muscly. Yeah.
They always make him look good in pictures.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on with these people. They've all got the bag, they've all got the pine cone, and they usually got the watches or the bracelets or whatever you want. And there's been like no end of sort of people come up with sort of ideas of what these sort of things are.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Expialidocious even mentioned, maybe they're using it like like they're saging someone.
Yeah.
There actually is a theory on that too, that they're warding away bad spirits.
Exactly. Again, about there's a lot of thing about protecting them from giving them good luck and protection and things like that. I mean, that's one of the reasons with the handbag. They say it's not a handbag; it's actually a bucket, and they claim that they're like carrying some sacred water or something that they douse on people. But
Yeah.
you know, he weren't dousing that on his head at the back of his head, as we saw earlier. That was
Kelly makes an interesting point. There's nothing new under the sun. There is ancient tech that they try to pass off as new. Very true.
Well, especially when you add these items together. When you're talking about the wristwatch, the handbags or the buckets, and you're talking about these cones, it leads you to wonder, how are they all tied in together? Is it just what the theories are out there, and that's what we're here to do today, is to talk about them.
Yeah, this is quite interesting. This one shows the Sumerian god Ninurta, who was the son of Enlil and Ninlil, and he's got the wrist device on, but he's also got round his neck, which looks like a Templar cross, which is weird.
So obviously the Templars
copied these, because this predates that, but it's very Templar looking. And
I hadn't noticed that before. That was very interesting, actually, that you found that, because with all the images and the hieroglyphics and everything you see of these images, I had never noticed that before with the cross and the Knights Templar. So good catch.
Some people have said that them bags would contain snuff and things like that, but I can't.
Yeah, it only seems to be the gods that's got them as well. This one, again, you got your gods on the outside with the little flowery wristwatches on. One of them's got the little handbag, man bag. And the ones in the middle, they've got the different things, like the wrap bracelets on their wrist. So that depicts jewellery.
Right.
That's something that you do see over. But these flowery watch things or bracelets or whatever you want to call them are only on the gods, and it's weird.
Yeah, but that's not also sort of like them who have these sort of things. Like they've got the handbags, but when you look in Egypt, they've got the
ankh.
The ankh.
Very similar.
And they're all carrying the ankh.
Very
I mean,
similar.
what that represents, but we know they're actually physical objects as well, don't we? Because they've got the ankh.
Yeah. And in this one as well, the god on the far side is holding the Pinecone up to the. Is that some sort of like control device?
It could be.
Because the pineal gland, which we'll get into, is like all about your brain. Is he controlling them with that?
Right, and that's what everybody ponders here. Is it a mechanical battery of some sort too?
Well, that's what my dad just said. Is it
it's a power pack?
Yeah, for whatever they're controlling the people, they've got to take batteries with them. Like I was saying earlier, it's a portable battery. Yeah, it could be.
And here we go, the Assyrian relief from Nimrod. Again, another one with a Pinecone and the handbag and the watch. They've all got them on. It's weird.
Yeah.
And this has got the tree of life thing. You can see it slightly on the side, which I'm not buying that as a tree.
No.
I'm not. I'm really not.
No, it looks very.
I've never seen a tree that looks like that in my life.
No, it does. Jamie's right. It does have an electrical component, especially like I said. If you look at some other images of it, it definitely looks coiled.
Yeah, and it seems like there's some sort of main sort of staff thing or control thing in the middle, a control rod.
Well, obviously, one of the main sort of theories about these are that they come from somewhere else. They're extraterrestrial. Perhaps they are. Perhaps they're like space apparatus, what they're carrying, and devices, perhaps. What's that between his legs?
I have no idea what that is between his legs.
I thought it was a leg.
I was thinking it was like his muscle. It was like muscle, but I don't know.
Well, it might be his muscle, Danielle.
Yeah.
Let's not go there. Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's some kind of deity. You never know.
I read from a very, very good source that it's his muscle. Danielle told me.
Right. Well, we'll never know.
Moving on.
Moving on. Here he is with his little Pinecone again.
Yeah.
I want to know what they're doing with him.
A urine bag.
It might be a urine bag. He might have a bit of a stoma going on. Who knows? Right, this is going on to the Pinecone. This is the staff of Osiris, which is circa 1224 BC, and you've got the two serpents intertwining their way up the staff, which is topped with a pinecone. There's pinecones found throughout on different things, and we'll get into some of them. Some researchers link the snakes with the Hindu idea of Kundalini, in which the pinecone acts as a pineal gland, which is the most common representation. It's about knowledge and enlightenment. And what have
again, that's shown in Egypt as well. Similar thing, isn't it, with a pine cone and the
yeah. And you'll also notice the similarity to the medical field.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've got one on The Whitehall building in New York, the caduceus with a pine cone, similar to the Osiris staff.
Yeah.
The 2 snakes coiling round it. That's very medical as well.
Which could represent the DNA in that.
And then this one is in the wrong order. This should have been earlier. This is an Aztec stone sculpture of the goddess Chichimicatl. I don't know how to say it. Chichimicatl. It's a goddess. It's an Aztec goddess, and I don't know what her name is, but she's got, if you notice, on her hair, on the right-hand side, there's a couple of pine cones in her hair.
Is that her hair, or is that like she's carrying something on her head?
Oh, some sort of headdress.
Headdress.
Right, a headdress. I would go with
There's pine cones on that as well. Hello, Scott
Hello,
Cameron.
Scott. Yeah. Hiya.
Hello, Scott.
Is there?
Yeah, and we'll just get past that because I just completely butchered her name. And massive pine cone at the Vatican, everybody.
Yes, this is the Vatican, you know, and it makes you wonder, you know, why this pine cone image? And it also makes you wonder, I wonder if there's any of these around Washington. We should look into that.
Yeah. Keep your eyes out for pine cones, everybody. But this is massive, and it's in the courtyard at the Vatican, which is, they've got a lot of hidden knowledge there, aren't they, underneath?
Well, let's just say, like, what they were saying was right about this water and things like that. I mean, we know that, like, religious people today, which is why that might be there, is they have, like, staffs with pine cones on the end, which they actually then douse water on people today and things like that. I mean, that might be true to an extent, and then we got to ask the question, why do they carry it on today? If that was all mythology and a load of rubbish, basically, why are they still carrying them sort of ideas on today?
Symbolism is very important for these people.
Indeed.
Exactly, especially with the one in New York there. When you showed that on there, that's the first thing I thought of, Jamie, is why today? Why, you know, how's that?
No.
Right.
Yeah. So this is just showing you the pineal gland. It's all about human enlightenment, the third eye, and it's just a couple of images of the pine cone with a swirl. If you're looking at for the top, it's a symbol for enlightenment. And your pineal gland, which is ours, are all calcified, and maybe there's some abilities that we should have as humans that we've not got because they've completely stuffed our pineal gland.
Well, that's what they say, don't they? They say if that's where all these people who's into all this sort of higher sort of conscious stuff says, that's where it comes from, your pineal gland and things like that, when they see things and communicate and things like that with certain things, they all say it comes from that. So
it does a bit. XB says the brain looks a bit like the tree design.
It does. Well, there is sort of like a repeated patterns in life, life, isn't there? What do they call it, that pattern? What do they call that? I can't think of what it's called off the top of my head.
I know what you mean.
You've caught me out now. What's the pattern? That's on everything. Again, that's what the Tree of Life shows, and I've now annoyed everybody, so everybody's now thinking, what is that called?
You know, and the pineal gland is shaped like, you know, a pine cone, obviously, is where they get all of this from. But yeah, I could see where Expialidocious, what she's referring to there with the waves and the contours. And
but isn't that strange that they made the comparison from nature to that, you know?
True.
With the pine cone, you know, and they've been studying a lot of brains.
They must have cut somebody's head open to see. Yeah,
it's a bit worrying. But there you go.
Or done an MRI.
The first medical examiners, I don't know.
Right, and this one is got the handbag on it. I don't know what he's doing. He seems a bit
he's
stuffed in there.
Well, he's making sure his bag is secure.
Yeah, he's got his bag on his leg. Now,
this is another argument. If they carry them bags to sprinkle water on people's heads, why has he got that on his own in this, whatever it is?
Yeah.
Sitting in some sort of...
That's exactly what I was going to say. You don't see any flowers, any plants or anything around there. So, you know, what was the purpose of carrying this?
Yeah, random.
That's strange one.
And Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, which is one of the oldest sites in the world. This is Pillar 43, and at the top of Pillar 43, which is called the Vulture Stone, we've got 3 handbags, which the mainstream say is buckets of water.
I'm
not mistaken, they call this one Pillar 43, but isn't there a whole setup of these? Like,
there's loads of them. Yeah.
Typical. Yeah.
Hello, Riley.
Hello, Riley.
Yes, Riley, everybody.
Riley wanted to be on the show. So
Yeah.
there he is.
Expialidocious and Kelly Doss caught on to that last image, the last screen. There was a lot going on in there, in that image where it did look like he was wearing a helmet and things weren't upright. So
He's got a helmet on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the ones we're going to look at. With one of the tomb. It looks a bit spaceship.
Yep, we'll touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, which could explain the serpent as well, but we'll get on to that in a bit.
And then just Toltec and Tula, Mexico. They've got the little strange handbags down their side.
Yeah.
They're weird. Completely, aren't they? I mean, look at them.
Yeah. Strange. It is strange.
And Artifact 2. Time for Artifact 2. Anything you want to wrap up on Artifact 1? Or the 3 artifacts before we move on to Pacal's tomb?
Well, obviously, it's clear. I don't think, obviously, we don't know. There's not enough evidence either way. The people who skeptics and things like that will say these things, but they ain't got equal proof to prove that what it is or isn't,
Right.
So you're all left in doubt, really. I mean, I think they say that they're buckets. They look more like bags to me.
I don't see
my opinion.
why the gods would be carrying around buckets of water, to be honest. I mean,
No.
Well, they're not just in one grouping. It's not just the Assyrians that had them. It goes across all of the cultures. So
they're very similar to the Egyptian ant with a handle, but they've changed it into.
If it was a bucket, I mean, how much water do it hold if they're walking around everywhere doing everything every day with these buckets and this acorn in their hand? Oh, that's weird, isn't it?
I think they've got the little. I mean, it could be some sort of breathing apparatus of the Arabians, just to put it out there and get on the fringe.
Yeah, well, so it could be. We don't know.
Something that they need to survive on this planet.
So I don't know. What do you viewers think? Do you think that's like a tree of life? Think on that as we go through the show. Was it a tree of life? What is it? What do you think it depicts? What do you think it meant?
Yeah. Oh, well, actually, I just thought of something. Just as you said that, and somebody said the nuclear football, that just reminded me of something. But perhaps the tree of life may not actually be life as we see it. Maybe that might be like, our bodies emit, we're basically got electric and things like that going through us, energy. Perhaps there's some kind of energy device to produce life. The tree of life isn't exactly...
Wow, that's a bit out there, Jamie.
An organic object. That might be actually an electrical component that could produce some kind of, or bring back people to life.
You think like a Dr. Frankenstein type thing?
It just popped in my head because I was reading the chat and hearing what people were saying, and I was thinking, maybe.
Yeah.
The Pinecone seems like they might be, because they're putting them to the red a lot. They're holding them up to the back of the red. Like, is it some sort of control device? That's what I'm thinking.
If it is, there's not a very good range. They're not very good because they got to be right close up to it. It's like the old remote controls on the old VC, what came with their cord.
Maybe they needed a bigger battery pack.
Yeah. Or the old game controllers with a little foot controller, so you had to stare right up close to the TV. Yeah.
I don't think it's a bucket. I think it's definitely some sort of bag. What is in it? The gods only know, because it's their handbags. Pinecone is weird, and the watch. I mean, what is it? Is it like some sort of communication device? I don't know.
Right.
So I don't think it's jewellery, because it's just those particular one in that particular design is only on the gods, and it's weird.
Yeah.
Right.
Kelly
makes a good point.
Yeah, do you want to put it on the screen?
Yeah. According to the Bible, there is the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. We were not supposed to have the knowledge of the fallen angels taught to man. That is true.
Yeah,
So that could be, again, associated with that. And that's why maybe like these people knock or dismiss things what we're talking about because they don't want you to know, because that sort of ruling still goes on today, perhaps. We just don't know.
And Wendy says, Jamie, is it like an ancient defibrillator? Defibrillator. Yeah.
Yes, it could be. It certainly could be.
Yes, it is Wendy Woo. It's a defibrillator.
Wendy Woo.
Yeah, that's Woo.
Yeah. And Kelly says the Book of Enoch goes into this more. It definitely does. The Book of Enoch is very interesting. In fact, we've the three of us here have watched quite a bit of that, and I'm sure we're going to be touching on that in the future as well.
Yeah, because we're going to do giants.
Yeah, we're doing the Nephilim, which again, this all comes into
this all comes
again,
into the Nephilim, but there's
Yeah.
quite a lot involved in giants, so we need to do a little prelude to giants. So we're going to do something first, which sort of preludes to the giant thing, and then we're going to do giants.
Kathy Lambert said the bracelet reminds me of Wonder Woman. Yeah, do a bit of it.
It does. It really does. It's Wonder Woman.
Maybe they're Wonder Woman with beards.
What did Wonder Woman's bracelet do? Did it do anything, or was it just a bracelet?
Well, no. She had the whip of truth or something. I don't know what I'm to make that up. Yeah, I know that sounds really weird.
That sounds like you just made that up, Jay.
No, he's on the right track. It's been a while, but it had something to do with
They had special powers, didn't they? No.
That was her superpower.
That was her superpower. I've got a whip, everybody. Yeah.
Shielded off bullets.
Yeah. That's true of the bracelets, you just...
Yeah.
I just think that there's more to it than it just being in a jewelry. Let's just put it that way. There's...
No, because they don't. I mean, why would they all have the same bracelet?
Yeah,
that's no fun.
Because they were very artistic and creative. You'd think they'd have different designs.
Yeah.
Right. So the next one, Pacal's tomb.
Pacal's tomb.
And these people seem quite switched on, so they know what this is already. I can tell. But we're going to go over it. Here it is. It's not a very good picture. We'll get a better picture as we go on. The tomb of Pacal, 615 to 683 AD, was discovered in 1952 at the Temple of Inscriptions in Palenque, Mexico.
And this is quite large. It doesn't really show it there, but it's probably, the thickness is a good 8 inches.
That's massive.
It's massive. The length, width,
My dog's making noises.
Typical, isn't he?
Now, from what I've understood, this around the edges of this, some of these are supposed to be the planets.
Right. Yeah.
The solar system. Yeah.
Again, there's a lot to depict and analyze and take out of that, and there's a lot of sort of stuff going on that you wouldn't necessarily thought that was necessary to put on one of these tomb lids, would it? It's like, that's a bit much, isn't it?
Yeah, Kelly, this is on its side, and I think we've got a picture coming up.
Kelly, the Smithsonian destroyed those bones, and we'll get into that. They destroyed them.
Amongst other things.
Giants. They destroyed a lot of evidence.
They did.
And I think one of us needs to go and take the dog for a wee, or it's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
So
I'll disappear for a moment.
Jamie will be back in a minute.
Aw, Jamie.
He'll be back in a minute. We won't go too far. We're just going to put this on its side and show you the man in the middle and discuss what's going on here. Jamie knows what's going on here.
Yeah, he won't miss this.
So he's lying on his back, sort of. He's got weird feet. I'm going to say that to begin with. He's got very weird shaped feet. And it looks like he's got his hands on some sort of controls. He's got something going into his nose.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much going on here. They put a lot of things into these, but... a
lot of detail. I think in any of the things that they've done, it's almost like overkill, because how can you study each and every intricate part of what they've, chiseled out? But it does look like he's laying on his back. I agree with you. And it looks like he is trying to control something with his hands.
The fringe theory is that it's a UFO. He's in a UFO, and that's some sort of breathing apparatus going into his nose, and he's working some sort of controls.
The other theory is that he is actually coming up from the underworld, and he's in his present life, and that he's actually ascending, and this is a tree, that this is a wooden tree that he's growing up through, and that through the top, he ascends into the heavens, which there might be a picture coming up of showing better a look at the top of that as well.
Kelly says maybe he has happy toes based on the river flowing between his legs. Are you saying that you read him?
I didn't notice that as either, but
I didn't notice that, but now that I've seen it, it can't be unseen.
I know you can unsee it now. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, Pacal's had a little accident, everybody.
Oh my goodness, that's too funny. So yeah, and again, like those images around the outer edges, I obviously I don't know which ones were what, but they were, especially the bottom ones, were supposed to be the planets. I have no idea.
Is he sitting on someone's head? Is he?
Or is it
know what
some kind of altar?
I don't know what he's sitting on, to be honest. That's
Or
weird.
is it in a machine? Is he actually in a machine? What is,
Yeah. We'll go to the next image, and this is a coloured image that somebody done.
Yep, they put color on there.
You can maybe see some of the bits better. They put some colour into it. He's got some weird triangular thing going into his nose.
And look at that. They even made the river yellow.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yeah. They knew.
Yeah. So somewhere in here, the symbology, it really leaves a lot to the imagination. But when you add all of these things together, what we just discussed and the mechanisms of things, what are they really trying to tell us? And are these mechanical images, or is it just as simple as ascending?
Kelly, yes, he does look stoned. He does. Maybe that's what's going up his nose. Maybe some sort of drug chamber.
Yeah, we know they were doing odd things back then, just like we do now with different types of drug and paraphernalia. That could be as well.
Yeah, someone says it's a test for the RONA up his nose. It could be.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, good point.
Here we go. I don't know what they put on his nose. That's not what I've seen, but
it looks like a clip.
Yeah.
So this is somebody's artist depiction.
Impression of what, like his feet are on little pedals, and I think that they've got it right with his feet and his hands, but whatever that is on his nose isn't what I've seen in the picture. Let me just go back.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's not.
There, it just looks like he has a very large nose, but in the feet, it just looks like a clip of some sort. I don't know.
But if this is how you fly a UFO, they're not very advanced, because you'd think that you just put your hand on something and it's all. If they'd made a UFO to come from billions of light years away, and that's how they got to sit for all that time.
That looks more like a periscope type thing. Being in a
submarine.
Yeah,
it's a USO. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a submarine later, haven't we, Jamie? Jamie's back, everybody.
Hello.
Jamie.
That could be. Somebody says a bony nose. No, that could be they used to put bones through their nose, through their ears, and things like that. So it's a possibility, I suppose. But
it's very strange, everything altogether, though. What's going on here?
Yeah, I think in the original picture as well, where you got the serpents and that could represent the flames and flight again, like dragons.
Jenny, while you were gone, he's peed himself.
Is he?
Kelly said that's a river between his legs, and then we went to the next slide, and it's yellow.
Oh no,
so
that's even worse. Yeah, that's it. We solved it, and
yeah, we solved it.
Maybe it's an ancient toilet.
That's a really bizarre toilet.
This is how the Mayans used to have a pee. Everybody.
I've seen some bad toilets in my time, but yeah.
I have no idea what it is, but what's the mainstream theory, Jamie, on what it is?
The mainstream is, I believe that Danielle touched on it earlier. What I could hear was basically
coming from the underworld,
coming from as his journey from this life to the next life, and things like that. And that's why there's certain symbols around it. But
it's a bit for something that they don't know and they're just guesstimating. It's a bit of a complicated position to be in for something.
Very
like that.
Complicated, yeah. Wouldn't you think he'd be more upright?
A bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
We're actually in a flying position, or
I know we're talking about out of place artifacts, but Kelly's just said in the chat that she made a bizarre outhouse once, and I need to know more. So please tell me more in the chat, because I need to know now.
Kelly is very off topic. Is very handy. This girl is a builder. She is wiring her own little tiny house. I am so impressed with this woman. So
really,
someday she'll have to tell us more for sure.
It does look very uncomfortable, Expialidocious. It looks very uncomfortable, and why would all the for something that they've just imagined and that's how somebody comes from the underworld? Why make it so complicated?
I don't know.
Again, they put so much into each thing that they've presented. Any artifact that they leave, there's just so much to read into it.
In this artist,
Kathy just said there's been sightings of dragons in Florida. What?
Really? And
I need to look into that, because I've not heard that.
And what
in this depiction of this, what you got up on the screen here, actually that thing in his hands looked like one of them sort of submarines. They used to have them little. I don't know what they're called.
Danielle said that while you were taking Riley.
Like a periscope.
Yeah. Bizarre though. Anyway.
And the next one is the Baghdad Battery. But have we got any comments, questions, concerns about whatever he was doing while he was up and away?
I think the Baghdad Battery is probably going to be one that a lot of people recognize the most. Maybe.
Yeah, definitely. And there's something what again went missing, but they actually had the artifacts there. So
they've lost them, haven't they?
Yeah, they lose everything.
Convenient, very convenient.
So the Baghdad Battery.
There it is.
Danielle, do you want to read that?
Do I want to read that? Sure. I gotta blow it up. Okay, so battery, Baghdad, 250 BCE. The Baghdad Battery is believed to be about 2,000 years old. From the Parthian period, roughly 250 BC to CE 250. The jar was found in Koshut Rabu, just outside Baghdad, and is composed of a clay jar with a stopper made of asphalt, and sticking through the asphalt is an iron rod surrounded by a copper cylinder. When filled with vinegar or any other electrolytic solution,
electrolytic.
There you go. The jar produces about 1.1 volts.
Yeah, so it's like vinegar or lemon juice or anything that's acidic.
Anything acidic, yeah.
Right, Kaylee's told us her story, so we're just going to read it. I lived off grid for a while with a friend. Our boys wanted satellite in the new double-seater crapper. Right. So while we were away at a friend's, we put an old satellite dish on the roof. They were excited until I told them they had the All Nature channel.
Right.
Well, what's wrong with, you're in nature watching. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
So this is the Baghdad Battery, and we've got. It's actually 3 components.
Yeah.
You've got the clay jar.
Yeah.
And then you've got the tube, which is made out of copper.
Right.
And the iron rod that went through the
iron rod in the middle.
And they're all sealed with asphalt.
Yeah.
When they say a asphalt lid, that's on top, holding all this inside, you see. Now, that's just a strange thing because one of the sort of skeptics' views, there's loads of these clay jars everywhere there, which there is. And they were used to hold papyrus or scrolls. Well, first of all, why would you put a scroll inside a tube with a cylinder in it, with a rod in it, and then seal it up with tar? And secondly, if it was what it was used for, where are the scrolls?
Yeah, there's many reasons why the mainstream argument doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because they found them sealed and there was no screws in them, which is a big, hello?
Yeah.
Well, no, they have found, these scrolls and other kinds of jars and things like that, but they were never made. They were never made up with this type of components. No. And these are the exact specific elements and components that you need to create a battery.
Yeah.
And also, there was evidence that there'd been liquid in them as well.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
So why would you put liquid in something with paper in it?
Signs of corrosion on the inside and these electrolyte liquids, which, again, if it was sealed, how did that happen when other discoveries they find ain't got all that sort of evidence of erosion or whatever you want to say. But yeah.
Yeah, because air can only do so much. But like you said, these were sealed.
Yeah.
You can see there, Jamie, do you want to go over because it's all technical, this page. And you're the technical one.
At the top, you've got the asphalt stopper, which is basically tar. Basically, they blobbed a lot of tar on top, if I make it sound more simple. And then they've got the iron bar, which goes through the center of it with the copper cylinder. And then you've got the electrolyte solution at the bottom, which, again, if you know, batteries, done your basic science, that's how you make a battery. And that's exactly...
So do you connect you connect whatever you're going to power to the tube sticking out the top of the asphalt then, like the copper tube?
Yeah,
it's iron, isn't it, in the middle?
Yeah, iron. Yeah, so you got, to conduct the electricity. And, that's exactly just a bit like your normal little...
And they actually made replicas of these and got that's where they got the 1.1 volt electricity from. So
yeah.
And they had
it's really fascinating when you think about the time period.
Yeah. Now,
and that goes under this.
Oh yeah. There was something what I was going to mention about that. Yeah. The other thing about that is they say that could have been used for electroplating.
Yeah.
Which they've tested it, and that does work for that. So people use the same voltage. Now, that would be quite a reasonable explanation because these sort of areas, if we know, they used to hoard a lot of gold, and they had all, like again Egypt and things like that. You used to see like all these gold objects buried with the pharaohs.
Yeah.
And again, that would make sense because they're such a valuable resource. They would probably, like we do today, as electroplate cheaper materials, especially if they're trading. They like to trade with other people. All these other visitors and things like that are coming into the areas. And of course, they want to trade with them. So they're not going to give away their gold, their precious gold.
Right.
So
Jamie's dad in the chat says that some idiot on one program said it was from making beer.
Beer?
Wow. Oh.
Yeah.
Electrified beer.
Make beer with.
Did they explain that? Yeah, I'd like to see.
I'd like to see the explanation for how that makes beer.
Yeah.
And hello, Enclosed Mind. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. So going on for the battery, onto the bulb. Jamie.
Right, and this is the Dendera Bulb in the Hathor Temple in Egypt. Now, there's 3 reliefs depicting bulbs and giant people and small people and things like that. Now, what we're talking about here, I mean, they're there. Now, the explanation is that they're lotus flowers with a snake running through this, coming out of the side of a lotus flower. And that's meant to represent like a traveling or a journey and things like that. Well, the trouble is, I don't know about you, but that doesn't look at all like a lotus flower to me.
No.
I don't know about or a lotus bulb. Also,
I've got a picture. I don't know. If
don't
it's
explain that large coil.
That's a lotus bulb.
That's a lotus bulb, yeah.
Snake, and then they're saying that huge thing is a lotus bulb.
Yeah, and for what purpose? Why would that's the part that I don't get. And then you've got each of these actually large figures, when you look comparatively to those smaller figures underneath, they're pointing them, towards each other. One is lifting, and it seems to be like this enclosure.
Yeah. Well,
and it seems to have some sort of cord coming out the back of it as well. Let's go into this main sort of thing in the middle.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not going into the ground like a plant would.
Like a stem of a flower.
It's on, like if you look at a bulb, you've got the coil, all these sort of components. Like the snake represents the coil, then you've got the filament, which is the little thing what seemed to be propping up at one end. That could have been some kind of filament or connector, and then you've got the cable, as you said. And I mean, people arguing that that's just all nonsense and things like that, which it could be. I'm not going to throw it out there, but at the same time, they must have illuminated these places somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, certain tests have been done in these locations.
Right.
For instance, first of all, you've seen all the movies where they've, the classic Hollywood movies where they'd carry like torches through the pyramids into the chambers and things like that, and hang them up on the wall. Now, the fact of the matter is first of all, there's no evidence of the soot on these walls. The other thing is as well, they've tested it using flames and fires, and these torches go out when they get to the center of these buildings because there's
no oxygen. Right.
Also, the other skeptical explanation is they used mirrors to light these places, which they used a big mirror outside and then a series of mirrors going throughout the whole of the buildings and that. But the trouble is they did test that as well, but as the light traveled through these buildings and through these mirrors, there was actually barely no light at all. And the thing is, what I would say as well is if that was the case, what happens if it turns out cloud or turns to night? What are they doing then? I mean, if they're in the middle of doing something dangerous and that, and a cloud blocked the light or something blocked the light, they'll never find their way out. So that sounds like a bit.
The main argument that this is not a bulb is that they've not found any glass or any fragments historically, like when they've done their digs, that would prove that they had a bulb. But they've not found any mirror either, so that doesn't prove that they...
And we know that they needed light because these chambers went very deep, very deep. They had to have a source of light. And as Jamie pointed out, anything with fire or torches, the lack of oxygen in there, they would extinguish very quickly and would not light for very long.
Yeah. But, and then, I mean, there's a whole can of worms here, isn't there? Because you've got the different sizes of people as well. You've got the giants, you've got the smaller people. Now, obviously, the explanation of the giants, again, like many of the other examples that were shown before, represent pharaohs and people of authority and things like that. But that's not always the case when you look at some of these reliefs. And I don't know, it's just a mystery, and there's a lot going on there.
I find this thing on the right-hand side, Bob, bizarre with like the four sort of lines and hands coming out of it. I mean, it's weird. Yeah. It does look like some sort of component there, but the actual arms coming out of it is strange.
So then you have to ask, how is this powered, right?
Yeah.
Didn't you not just mention a bulb, Danielle?
Also, if you notice as well,
a battery.
The little dude is also sitting on a little concrete block as well, or something. That could mean something.
Yeah, and here we have one with some Baghdad batteries, and the glass one is just to depict what's inside. They weren't actually made of glass; they just done one out of glass in this reconstruction, just to show you that it had the inner components. But
what would be like a filament, right? The filament of a bulb.
Batteries would power a light bulb, not a lotus flower. I mean, it doesn't even look like. I mean, look. It doesn't even look like that, do it? It's far longer. It's a completely different shape. They were quite good at depicting things.
Yeah, when we see other things
in ancient Egypt. So why would they completely change the shape of the lotus bulb?
Exactly. Right. And how many snakes you seen pouring out of a lotus flower?
I was just going to say, even through history, where else did we say? No, snakes coming out.
I mean, the other argument as well, what people say about these batteries, that they say, oh, they must have needed thousands of them to light, do any significance. Which is, again, that's why we said about the electroplating, because that only needs a little bit of power. But you don't know what they had and how they did it. I mean, there might have been certain things that they had or they were using.
Yeah, well, they did find several of them, although they've lost them.
They have,
right.
Yeah. So, Seti's tomb. Dun, dun, dun.
Seti's tomb.
Yeah.
So this is where we get into some interesting, some more images, hieroglyphics, carvings, whatever you're going to call it, of unusual, unidentified objects. Some flying.
That shouldn't be there.
That should not be there.
But they are.
Yeah.
So, Jamie, do you want to read that?
Located in the Valley of Kings, Egypt, the 137-meter long tomb was completely decorated and beautifully preserved when Giovanni Bolzoni, whatever his name is, discovered it in 1817. So that was, yes, I've seen them before. That was
it is very well preserved.
Again, very decorative, and you know,
the colours are amazing in there.
Yeah, they must have had a lot of light to see what they were doing in there.
Exactly, because obviously we see here there's artificial lighting from modern times.
Yeah, artificial lighting, like Danielle
but not
said.
then. Not then. They would have had to have seen what they were doing, right?
Need the Dendera
must have had a
Bulb.
lot of carrots. Seeing in the dark. I don't know.
These were found in Seti's tomb, and they look strangely like some modern vehicles.
Yeah. And these aren't just somebody drew a picture and put it out on the internet. I mean, this is the actual images that they see.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was on one relief that was up near the ceiling, and these are all in the same area. So they're talking, it's like whatever they're saying here, they're like, it's linked. You've not got like, obviously you can probably see straight away. There's a helicopter, there's something that might be a Goodyear blimp, there's something that is argued it's either a tank or something else, which Jamie's going to get into, and I disagree. The bottom one on the right-hand side, some people say that's a submarine. I can't see that one.
I kind of see that one. I kind of see it. What about you, Jamie? Do you see? I kind of see the submarine part of it.
Well, I thought it might look like a bit like a battle tank, and that little thing floating above it slightly might have been like the guns, the air to ground guns. But the thing is, they say that these are sort of organic things or some kind of sort of story going on, but
the fact that you've not got like, from the size of the tomb, was it like 187 meters? Did you say? Can't remember.
Yeah.
You've not got like a helicopter over here and like something that could be a tank over here. They've put them all in the same relief all together, so that there's a reason that they're all together like that.
Yeah. Now.
And we're now going to compare them to some modern images.
Yeah. So as you can see, that's an Apache helicopter.
That's definitely a helicopter.
It looks very much similar. It don't look like an organic or you know, something in nature to me.
It's even got the tail thing.
Exactly. Right. And the propellers, everything. It's just
definitely a helicopter.
Right.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, probably. Yeah.
And this one, it could be a blimp.
Or a 50s UFO or spaceship. It looked like the Jetsons.
But this is like what people, some people have said.
It does look like the Jetsons.
That's a Jetsons ship. That's what it is, everybody.
Or a UFO.
Or a UFO.
And then it's got the little tail thing coming out with it. So, I mean.
Yeah, like a plane. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
That's what I said about the Jetsons, because they had that.
So it could be that, like the blimp's got the tail. So it could
the
be
blimp has got a tail.
It could be a blimp.
Yeah.
And then tank.
Tank.
Because this one, Jamie don't think it's a tank.
I don't think
we'll get
it's
into that
tank.
in a second because it's stupid.
I think it's much better than
right. So as you can see, you've got like the cannon coming out the front.
Yeah.
It's not got any.
Oh, I see. It's
winning.
Yeah. Okay.
It hasn't got any wheels though, so that might fall into Jamie's argument. And,
and that will.
Before we go on to the next slide, I do apologise. He's a massive Star Wars fan. So Jamie thinks it's.
And there you go. It's the land speeder from Star Wars. That's Luke Skywalker's land speeder. It's even got the little lines on the front. Look. There he goes. It's just not got the C-3PO in the front.
This is in Egypt, Jamie, not Tatooine.
Yeah. Well, you never know. Perhaps they based it. That was in the desert, wasn't it? Luke was in the desert.
But bottom line is, these are things that should not have been here during that time, making it an out-of-place artifact, right? Yeah. Like, why do they have these images?
And then there's the submarine. I don't see it.
I'd see, yeah.
I mean, it could be a different sort of submarine. I don't know what it is, to be honest. That one, I'm not sure. You said something about the bit at the top, Jamie, being like a gun.
Yeah, like on a battleship, you've got the ground-to-air guns, you know, the little rotating ones. They're like little blocks with little sticks pointing out, you know, turrets.
I do struggle to see what this one is.
Yeah. Look,
I kind of see it. So, yeah, I mean, are we talking about someone who had vision for the future? Did they have, is it time travel? I think, Kelly or Kathy actually just mentioned that, you know, time travel. Yeah. How is it they were able to do these?
That last one could have been a boat. But one of the explanations is that it was basically a mistake, right? Now, the trouble is there is mistakes all about Egypt, if you see, but there's not very many, and they're usually quite clear where they are, because they're either scratched out or, you know, replaced. Or there's another theory where, and there's actually examples where it's between the Seti and Ramesses. There's a similar plaque to that with the Ramesses plaque, and then what they say is when the next pharaoh took reign, that was just written over or carved on top.
Yeah, and just so happens to look like a helicopter.
But when you look at it, it looked nothing like it. Coming that his one Ramesses has got the serpents on, and that has got that thing what looks like a helicopter, but it looked more like a pair of goggles. But we can explore that one later on. And I couldn't get a picture just before the show.
Goggles, huh? I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, the mainstream theory basically is that they made a mistake. They made all these mistakes in the one little area and they ended up looking like all these modern vehicles. Right.
Now, on that same image that we showed on the first one, it looked like a flying insect or something there off to the left, too. Yeah. But to me, it just further solidifies the fact that these were, other than the one that could possibly be a submarine, were flying objects and not.
Good point, Danielle.
Like some sort of mosquito or something.
Yeah,
I didn't even think of that. So what we're seeing is maybe the battleship may not be a battleship at all. That might be a floating vehicle of some kind because they're all flying. Again, they're so far out there. I know that a lot of people, it's fun to think like this, even if it's not true. But that is a really good point. Now you've got a bird, you've got a beetle or a flying
An insect,
insect, so they're all flying.
Yeah.
I've never even put that together, to be honest.
I didn't even think about the mosquito thing.
No.
I just thought that was separate. But
Very good. There you go.
Go to the top of the class, Danielle.
Yeah.
Well done. Well spotted.
Oh, you're welcome.
That
Thank
is
you.
true. That's true.
So that is weird, and I don't think it's just they've just made mistakes, and they
No.
just happened to make
No.
all the mistakes in that entire tomb were made in that little area, and turned out to look like a helicopter.
Right.
Not only that, if it was from a previous pharaoh, they'd knock it. They'd make a scene of it. They would knock it out so you can see it, because of like they used to break the statue's noses.
Yeah, they broke all their noses off to disrespect
and
them,
actually
didn't they?
scratch them completely out off of the wall. So we know what they do when they actually.
So they would just destroy it, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
If it was like something that meant something to the previous pharaoh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the next and final one for this episode is the Cambodian Stegasaurus. Yes, I said Stegasaurus. Everybody, there's a Stegasaurus.
No,
Dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs.
Well,
And
did
now
they exist with men?
now, what we've got.
Let's find out, shall we, Danielle?
I know one of the viewers is very knowledgeable on dinosaurs, and she will probably be listening to this closely. Yeah.
Wendy.
So, Wendy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Ta Prohm Temple in Siem Reap, Cambodia was built in the late 12th century. And does it not look like somewhere that you'd go adventuring, like Indiana Jones style, with a whip, like Wonder Woman whip?
Wonder Woman whip. Yeah. And
it looks very adventurous.
That look quite good, doesn't it? It looks sort of probably a bit spooky, but a bit exciting as well. Yeah. I've never seen the whole thing before. I've just seen, what we're going to show you soon.
Right.
But,
and on this temple, there's lots of artwork and inscriptions, and one of them is this. It's a Stegosaurus, everybody.
That's a moomin.
Yeah, this is traditionally known as the Cambodian Stegosaurus. And obviously the reason they think this is because of the rounded images on its back and the long tail. And could this mean that men walked the same time as the dinosaurs? And how did they know that this is what it is?
Yeah, how did they know what a Stegosaurus looked like?
Yeah.
There are different fringe theories, as Lisa calls them, to go with this, but we can talk about that a little bit more as we go on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the first one, we're just going to show you. This was on a relief. You've got the Stegosaurus one is the second one for the bottom.
Yeah, and then you've got something like an otter or
so
something.
So if you look
like
on the far right, you'll see it's at the top of the picture. So there's some sort of weird gargoyle thing, and then you've got the first circle, which has got I don't know.
Some kind of small,
some sort of small creature.
Yeah.
The one above it is a Stegosaurus, and then you've got other creatures, men, as you go up. They're all in little circles.
Yeah.
Now we're focusing on the Stegosaurus.
No.
Which there's a Stegosaurus.
Yeah.
And there's the picture of the Stegosaurus that they drew in Cambodia.
No.
So here lies the. Did you want to say something, Jamie?
Yeah, well, probably what you're now going to say, so I'll let you do it. Yeah.
No, that's all right. I would say here is the controversy on this, because if you're looking at the Stegosaurus pictured large on the screen there, you see that it does have the scales or the bony structures on its back, and they're very pointed. And then if you move down towards the tail, there's the actual spikes, the thinner, horn-looking spikes. And the Stegosaurus also has the longer neck with a smaller head. So looking at the image and the carving or, the inscription there, it does not have the pointed figures in the back on the scales.
And it doesn't circle, Danielle. Its tail sort of goes on
the dinosaur's so big.
It's too big to fit in the circle.
And then it doesn't have those little spikes on its tail. And then the head itself is definitely a fatter, elongated head.
I do have a counter argument for this.
I welcome it. Let's do it.
Right. I'm not saying it's a natural Stegosaurus. What I'm saying is that humans, look at humans, up until recently, and there's still more to come. You're finding like a species of humans, like the Denisovan man, that nobody knew existed. They're finding these like different variations of humans. Now, this Stegosaurus was first discovered in 1877. They're still finding ancient creatures that they didn't know existed.
And that's what Wendy just said. Definitely looks
Yes,
like
Wendy said it a lot shorter than me. Basically,
may not be an actual
I don't think
Stegosaurus,
we've
but
actually
the same
found
family.
this or bones or remains of this particular dinosaur. It's a dinosaur, everybody.
Yeah.
But it is related to the Stegosaurus. It's not exactly the same, but it is.
Yeah.
It's in the same family.
Now,
because it is more circly on the back.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's not the things that the mainstream says it is.
Well, one of the arguments says that could be foliage behind it. That's like plant life behind it.
Oh, my dad's actually. That's not. I don't know if that's my mum or my dad, but one of them.
It's your dad.
It said the place you showed earlier with the bags on top had the exact carving.
There was a lot of stuff at Quebec.
There was a lot of stuff in Quebec Tepe, which we can do one. What? A Woosaurus.
I need to look that up. There's a Woosaurus.
A Woosaurus.
Oh my God, Wendy, are you a dinosaur?
So actually, I did notice somebody said Expialidocious mentioned
Yeah. Well. Oh.
A rhino. That is something that it could. They're native. Did I bloop out? Native to Cambodia.
I don't know if it's freezing for everybody.
Okay. Native to Cambodia are these rhinos that don't have the horns. I think. What are they? Javan or what did we?
Oh,
I thought they were.
I can't remember.
The certain species.
Wendy solved a problem.
Javan rhinos or something.
A Cambodian rhino.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at this. Wendy solved it. I just looked this up.
What's that?
She said in the chat, the Woosaurus. That's it. It's more circly.
Maybe.
It's not got the spine on its tail.
The head is a little bit different, but
definitely
closer.
Definitely closer. Do we have an image of the rhino? Or no?
Yeah, we do, but that's another minute.
Yeah, but Lisa's decided it's dinosaurs, so we're
okay. Dinosaur. Okay, so we're not going to.
That is the Javan rhino,
yeah,
by the way.
I've never heard of the Woosaurus.
I haven't either, Wendy. Wow, very interesting.
Yeah, dinosaurs. Right. This is one of the mainstream theories that it's a Southeast Asian pangolin, and I'm just going to say no. That's me. That's all I've got to say. You two can just pitch in now.
I actually would say no as well, because even if you just go by the structure itself, if you look at the other images, they're not exactly right to size. But if you look, there's a smaller mammal at the bottom, just above what we call a gargoyle, and that's actually definitely small. So if this was, because this isn't big, is it? That's
I don't see that at all.
It's not got anything on its back. It's got like a sort of pattern on its body of round things, but there's no spikes or spines or whatever.
Mm-mm. And again, the head doesn't match up either.
No, not at all. No, I think that's that.
It's not a pangolin.
No, I think I'm with Wendy when
chameleon.
I think we've solved it.
That's another one of the mainstream arguments. It's a chameleon.
Yeah.
So. I would think that they would hit a coiled tail. They'd put coils into everything.
Yeah.
On their images. Why would they leave it?
The main
features.
Yeah, why would they leave that out?
Yeah.
So I'm not thinking.
And it's got one thing on its head.
I don't know what these things are called. We're really rubbish.
It's got one thing on its head, like a spiky thing, but there's nothing going down its back. So no.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing that would be like that.
The Javan rhinoceros.
Now, this I would agree that it could possibly.
It's not got spikes on its back.
And it's not got horns.
But again, if you go with the theory that that's foliage or plant, then it wouldn't have to have the spikes.
Yeah.
Weird
failure, so here's the thing. Why are we even talking about this, right? Like, what's the big deal? So we decided to talk about animals on these structures. Well, the big deal is it very likely could be a dinosaur.
Yeah,
and if it is,
exactly,
what is the importance of that dinosaur being there on that image, on those artifacts?
They knew when they made this that was a dinosaur. When we only recently, like 1877, discovered a Stegosaurus to actually know what that looked like ourselves, but they knew when they made that.
Which was well before.
Indeed. But again, some people say, "Oh, it's a mythological creature." But however, when you look, because of obviously at the bottom, that gargoyle at the bottom, but then the rest, that doesn't make sense with the rest. You got humanoids, you got a deer, I think, on there. You've got.
I don't think it's foliage in the background, though, because it's a bit weird for foliage.
Well, why didn't they added that to it?
And why is there not foliage in all the other pictures?
They claim that there is in some, but to me, it looks like the same kind of rounded features. So I tend to, agree with you on that. But, and, we looked at 6 different artifacts or 6 different Ooparts today, the out of place artifacts. We could go on maybe just do 2 or 3 and spend a longer time period onto each one. But I think that kind of flows into each other, just like it did with the Baghdad Battery and the Denderra Bulb.
Yeah.
So hopefully everybody sees the case.
Evidence for my argument.
You've got one more piece of evidence
for my argument that's a dinosaur.
Okay, go for it.
This could be, is it going to be ridiculous? Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
A series of 14 human footprints with at least 134 dinosaur tracks were found in the bed of the Paluxy River near Glen Rose, Texas. So they're in the perma, whatever it's called, and the same level, dinosaur and man at the same time.
Yes.
There you go.
Boom! It's a dinosaur.
There you go. We have seen this in different areas of the world too, where they've dug and found out that yes, there have been human remains at the same depth and level in the same earth as dinosaur bones.
Yeah. So that little man just walked across, and then a dinosaur came after him and went that way.
Quite well, you would have thought it'd been running if he was walking alongside a dinosaur.
Well, he's not running for these footprints. It might have happened about 10 minutes later.
What about if halfway up you follow this little track of road and you see the dinosaur and the man, and then all of a sudden the man's one stop because he's been eaten?
Yeah, the man's footprints stop and there's bins.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's in Texas.
Yeah.
And they found them. 134 dinosaur tracks and 14 human footprints. So that is evidence that they were there at the same time.
I think the first Stegosaurus.
Now, whether that means I didn't get a date on this. I couldn't find a date on like what they dated these to. Whether that means that like man was there 134 million years ago, or dinosaurs existed a lot more recently than we're led to believe, I don't know. But there's evidence there that they were together.
Right. I actually believe, I don't know if I'm 100% certain on this, but I'll just say it anyway. I believe that the first Stegosaurus remains was found in America as well, in a similar location. So you never know. I mean, when we look at nature and things like that, we've got things that survive from them sort of times. We've got, sea creatures. We've got land creatures that lives for hundreds of years, like a tortoise lives, a long life, and things have seen through alligators, crocodiles and things like that. So that might have been just that sort of period of time where things slowly, because some things always survive these sort of things.
Nessie.
You never know. Survive disasters.
Yeah.
Nessie,
Nessie survived.
Well, we have the tar pits here too. The tar pits in the USA where they were able to find dinosaur remains as well, which maybe we could talk into at another part. But this is just an intro into Ooparts, so there's going to be more of this stuff coming. So hopefully you guys enjoy.
Even some of your like modern creatures, I think it's a turkey is supposed to be a dinosaur, isn't it?
Oh, all dinosaurs are supposed to
turned into birds,
turned into turkeys. Yeah, but after the disaster, the meteorite and the things like that, they're all supposed to have, shrunk in size, which I suppose when you look at some of these birds, especially the bigger ones and things like that, they do resemble what these dinosaurs are supposed to look like and things like that. So we never know.
Miss Cheryl says that's how they come up with Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Do you think if they actually have DNA that they should recreate them?
Ooh.
Yeah, from the mosquito. Yeah.
Moral question. If they had DNA from a Stegosaurus, should they make a new one?
Well, we know they're trying to or attempting to do it with like the mammoth, the woolly mammoth, trying to create different generations of it now that they've collected DNA from that and created.
You can doesn't mean you should.
There's a line right from Jurassic Park. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Now we just need a little piece of amber with a little mosquito in it, and we'll be off, and a little old man with a white beard. Yep.
Yeah.
What's that got to do with it?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, what we've looked at. I mean, the thing is, some of these can be explained, and there's some weirder ones. Honestly, I mean, when I was looking into the Ooparts and things like that, there's so many of them. There's like little micro screws. There's really bizarre things, and I wouldn't give away too many because we will be doing them again sometime. And there's some things that can't be argued, like one of the items they know is at least 2,000 years old because where it was found. But I won't give it away because we could do that in a later episode, and so they can't argue it. They can't explain it. They can't argue it. Like a lot of these, they can suggest certain things. But yeah, I think it's a very interesting thing, and it's just thought provoking. Even if you don't believe in it and things like that, it's fun. You know, they all put all this down as myths and rubbish and things like that. But you know, again, one day we might become the myth and things like that because you don't know. None of us stuff will remain apart from plastic.
Wendy says birds are meant to evolve from theropods, bird-hipped dinosaurs.
Because there's some theories.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
There you go.
Well, now that you all know what Ooparts are, these out-of-place artifacts, drop us a line. Let us know if there's any particular kind that you are interested in that you'd like to.
What you want us to dive into.
Yeah, we do. Again, we do have a long list, so it's a very good chance that whatever you pick will be coming up in a future show. But please let us know.
Yeah. And if you would mind popping over to our website at thecuriouscasefiles.com and checking it out. Got loads of items in store. It took me ages and ages to draw them, so I'm going to show you some because I'm very, very impressed with myself. So
Lisa does good work. Jamie does too. You guys do good work together.
Right, over to the Curious Case File store. We've got some stainless steel tumblers with a little owl design on it. We've got a Plague Doctor backpack.
Yeah.
Which might not be the best thing to have after the last couple of years.
No,
We've got a Plague Doctor backpack and a Plague Doctor mug with a nice little stainless steel straw. And we've got some dragonfly items. We've got a moth.
Dragonfly.
We've got a polo shirt. We've got a little skull moth. Got that in a t-shirt and a water bottle. And we've got Bigfoot getting abducted by aliens because why not?
Why not?
At
I love that hat too. I wish I could wear ball caps. I really like that hat.
I need to get me a hat.
Yeah,
when my grey roots come in. That's over at thecuriouscasefiles.com/store. And also, you can become a patron if you would like. And we've got a reduced price at the moment. So for £5.25 a month, which I have no idea how many dollars that is, Danielle.
There is that when you go to the website for our American friends, there is a button you can click that will convert it to dollars.
That's on the store here at the top. Look, you can put it in dollars. You can put it in Canadian monies. You can put it in euros, whatever. But I couldn't get that button to go in here. So
okay.
Join us. So monthly $5.25, or you can go annually and get 2 months free for £52.50, and you get exclusive content that is for our patrons only. So head on over and check out thecuriouscasefiles.com.
Yeah. And as
our episodes on there as well for you.
And at the very least, just remember to like and share all this because it all helps.
Please.
Share, and share.
Like and share, absolutely.
And I'm still sharing the screen because I'm saying share.
Yes, you are.
As our patron list grows, we'll definitely be having more, special things just for those that have joined us. But we do appreciate you joining us here today for sure.
Definitely. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And all that remains to be said is what, Jamie?
See you next Tuesday. Yep.
See
I'm
you
going to make
next
a Tuesday of that as well.
Yeah, we're going to have a see you next Tuesday.
Explicit and a clean version, perhaps. But
And I believe we're looking at a crime next week. So get your little magnifying glasses out and your little Sherlock Holmes hat and come and join us. And we'll be... it's a bit of a twat, actually. I'll give you a little spoiler. She's a complete and utter twat, and she did it.
She did it. There's no denying it. But...
There's no denying it. But please join us because it's very interesting and entertaining and unbelievable. Unbelievable.
We're just basically going to rip the shit out of her next week. So, that'll be fun. So we'll see you next Tuesday.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Very much.
See you later.